All right, guys. So we're going to get started by laying in. Um, we're going to be getting started by creating the secondary and tertiary sets of joints that are going to be referred to as our excuse me, as our IK and FK um, joints. Okay, I'm going to be referring to this main joint chain in the arm, the one that has the fingers on it, as our skinning joints, and I'm also going to be renaming it as such. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to go ahead and select this joint. So shoulder, elbow, or shoulder, yeah, shoulder, elbow, and wrist. And what I'm going to do is go over to Windows, not Windows, modify, search and replace. And I'm going to have it search for left, and I'm going to rename it left skinning. And we're just going to do selected, okay? The reason why I'm doing this is so when we look at it in the outliner, I know exactly which joint chain I'm working with, okay? And hit replace, okay? We're going to do the same thing with this joint chain. All right, so it's going to modify, search and replace, do same thing, but it's going to be right, skinning. Okay, replace. Okay, then I'm going to go and take both my left and right shoulders. Notice shoulders, not clavicle, just shoulders. I'm going to Control D, and I'm going to move them backwards. I'm going to do it world space, not object. So I'll just move them straight back. I'm going to hit Control D again and move them back one more time, okay? So we're going to need to go over to here and grab shoulder, elbow, wrist, and then we're going to rename so to replace, we're going to rename the word skinning to IK. Replace. Then we're going to go back and do search and replace names. We're going to look for the name skinning again. We're going to rename it FK. Okay. So now we have left FK wrist, and then left IK elbow. So just make sure we get that properly set in there. Okay. I actually don't need anything below the wrist joint on these two extra joint chains. I just need shoulder, elbow, and the wrist on both of these. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Search replace, look for skinning, and actually I want to make sure I get this right. So the ones in the back I'm calling FK, and the ones in the front I'm calling IK. There's not a right or a wrong here. I'm trying to be consistent. So the one in the back I'm doing FK, the one in front of that is IK. Okay, so this will be FK, replace, and then we'll do it again. IK. Okay, make sure I got it. All right, cool. And then delete the extraneous joints we don't need, okay? All right, now note they're all connected to that clavicle joint, still connected to the clavicle joint. I'm gonna go ahead and start saving this. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and start putting in my constraints, okay? So specifically for these, I'm going to be using what's referred to as Orient Constraints. Remember, the Orient Constraint only controls the orientation or rotation of an object, not the placement or the translation of an object. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the two parents. I'm going to go back to front. All right. So mom, dad, child. Okay. Remember that. Mom, dad, child. FK, IK, skinning. So I'm going to be selecting in this order. So I'm going to go and grab FK, IK, skinning. And then I'm going to go to constrain, orient, maintain offsets turned on. I'm going to go and click add. And that's going to create an orient constraint. Now I'm selecting this in a specific order because I want FK to show up first, IK to show up second. The reason why is when I'm setting up my set driven keys, I want to be able to just do muscle memory selection, not because if you are selecting these in different orders every single time, you will drive yourself insane trying to remember which one's which. Okay. And if you don't, especially if you don't name these, you have no idea what you're selecting here. So you need to make sure you name this and then also select them in the same order. It's going to make it so much easier for you. Okay. So that orient constraint's done. Let's see what happens. If I go and grab this joint and rotate it, you'll see that because we have two parents, this parent and this parent, when I rotate this one 50 degrees up, it's going to move the child, the skinning joint, 25 degrees. It's not moving 1-to-1, it's moving half because it's splitting the difference between the two parents. Okay, that's normal. The neat thing is we have that orient constraint here. You see both of these right here have full custody. So that means that they're splitting essentially the influence. If I change who has custody to IK, IK has full custody. That means that whatever this IK controller or IK joint does, it's going to make this joint follow along 100%. Okay, that's kind of the meat of how this system works. Is we're just switching who has custody. Let's go ahead and put um, this joint back to 0, and we're going to do mom, dad, child. Okay, constrain, orient. Okay, add. I'm going to do the same thing again. 1, 2, 3. Mother, father, child. Hit G. Now that one has it as well. Okay. So I'm going to continue. Mother, father, child. Mother, father, child. Mother, father, child. Okay. All right. I'm going to go end the video here. But what we've done is we set up the Orient constraints. We made extra joints, and we rename those joints. Okay, we'll pick up with the next video.